Here we go, baby. Another beautiful day in the ATX, man, and I'm with my friend Tom Miller. What are you doing, brother?
Doing great, Bobby. How you doing?
Oh, man, just another day in paradise, baby. That's the only way I can liken it. You know what I mean?
Austin is paradise, my friend.
That's right. So, for those of you who aren't friends with Tom Miller online, Tom is one of our mortgage insurance reps, right?
Yes.
Tell everybody where you work.
I work for Radian Guarantee.
Okay.
We're headquartered out of Philadelphia, but I'm the representative that covers Central Texas, cover Waco, Austin, and San Antonio.
Nice. So you got to stay on the road a lot with that gig?
I do.
How long have you been at Radian?
Throughout my whole career, Bobby, 10 years. It's kind of a long story.
Wow.
It's my third time back at Radian.
Oh, were you one of those prodigal son people?
Yeah, I'm a boomerang that just keeps coming back.
Yeah? Well, you must be doing a good job because they keep taking you back.
Yes.
So how long have you been with them recently?
Recently, this time around, it's coming on 4 years.
4 years?
With Radian here in Austin in particular, yes.
Wow. Okay. And so you basically go out to companies like ours and introduce your suite of products as far as what is known as mortgage insurance?
Yeah. I cover, in that territory, I usually try and make about 90 to 120 calls in a month.
What?
So I'm walking, yeah.
Wait, when you say call, you're just talking about on the phone, right?
No, actual visits, client visits. Walking into their office and speaking with them. Yes, site visits.
90 to 120?
Yes.
This is why I never see you. Okay.
It's true. If you miss me, I'll try and catch you on the flip side.
I know I've walked into my office before and like you left a card or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I could say Tom was here.
Yeah. So
cool, man.
I get to see a great representation of the overall mortgage marketplace.
Nice.
So kind of feel I have a good feel of what's happening out there.
Well, see, and you've got a unique perspective on our industry. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the people that I've talked to are either directly in real estate or directly in mortgage lending. You know, I don't know of anyone. I haven't personally interviewed anybody who's in your field, which is kind of really the reason why, you know, I reached out and I wanted to get you on board because whether you're listening to this and you're thinking of buying a home or you're a real estate agent or you're a loan officer, the reality is you're going to deal with mortgage insurance at some point in time, right? So I don't know how many people know what that is or what that does, but before we get to that, man, I always like to hear people's stories because everybody always has a unique story of how they came into, in this case, their sales career, right? Because what you do is still sales.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly, especially if you're doing 120 visits. So I'd like to start with that. So, I mean, if you don't mind, I'm just going to turn it over. I mean, tell me your story, brother.
Well, I mean, it goes way back. I've been in the mortgage industry for about 27 years.
Good God.
Now, yeah. So it's been a fun road.
Did you used to write your 1003s in triplicate?
No, but
okay.
I remember when it was typed. So I remember seeing things types, and I remember the dot matrix printers for a lot of things. Those. So yeah, and those were on those triplicate type papers back then. So
man, I was selling mobile homes back in those days. So like I wasn't. I can only imagine with as much paper as we've gone through in the mortgage industry, what it was like to have to sit there and type out an actual loan application.
Yes, yeah, and I remember when faxes just started out. The curly Q papers and things.
Remember that with that big pink strip that would run through it?
Yes, run out, yeah.
So
yeah, and he had to make copies of the faxes, but yeah, that it goes way back. I'm dating myself here, but
it's all good, man. I'm old. Like, hey, I'll be right there with you, baby.
But
we're not old, Tom. We're experienced.
That's right. We're seasoned.
That's seasoned. That's even better. Yeah, like a fine steak. Anyway,
seen it all.
There it is. So all right.
But I started really as my wife and I got married really young, and I started out working in a bank. Yeah. And one of the girls that I worked with there, her mom was a processing manager at a mortgage insurance company, which was RMIC back in the day.
Okay.
And she told me that she had an opportunity to do processing there, and I jumped at the opportunity. Wanted to know more about it. I didn't really know how to spell mortgage back then. I think that's how a lot of us start out. And
it's that T, man.
It's the T. But I got into it and started learning about the mortgage insurance industry, in which I had very little knowledge about because I didn't even really know much about the mortgage industry. So,
right.
But got to learn a little bit about it, what it meant to be in the MI industry and what we did and the purpose of what we did for the industry.
Right.
And went from there to, after I worked there for about a year, I got an opportunity to transfer down to Tampa from Chicago, and that's where I started out in the Chicago area. But got to move down to Tampa with RMIC and got to learn a little bit more. And at the time, I thought I wanted to be an underwriter, but then I got an opportunity to actually go out and visit some clients, and then I got into sales from there. I thought that was a lot more fun.
There you go.
Than being an underwriter. Not there's anything wrong with being an underwriter, but I thought that's where a lot where the action was. So
was it in
that's
sales?
How I got into it. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I got actually RMIC did not have an opportunity in sales at that time in Florida, but I got to work for CMAC, which is one of the predecessors for Radian that goes way back to 94. So when I first got into sales. So,
dude, take it easy. You are dating yourself, man. Calm down, bro. Look, man, I didn't want to say anything when you walked in platform shoes, but come on. Anyway, all right.
I've done that. You've seen that.
Yes, I have. That is a good time, too.
Yeah,
we got to find those pictures on Facebook and post it with the podcast. That's what we'll do.
That'll be great. But that's how I started in sales, was there. You know, I wanted to do more, and of course, money was a big thing that got into it. It sounded like a great way to be able to make more money.
Right.
And to be able to just provide more for my family is where it started out. And it seemed like a fun industry. And the MI industry at the time was a little bit more wild and crazy back then.
Was it?
Back then, yeah. It's always been a very competitive industry because there's very little in regards to pricing, because almost everyone's pricing is very similar. So it gets to be tough to compete in that arena. That's something that really makes the mortgage insurance industry interesting, is because it's so similar. We all have so many things that make us very much the same.
So what do you mean? It just kind of come down to personal preference or relationships?
It comes down to relationships. Just the same thing for loan officers. I know we hear a lot that, and I've originated before too in my whole throughout my whole career.
Yeah.
But the loan officers feel a lot like they're a commodity, and I always say if you want to talk to someone that knows what it's like to be a commodity, then talk to the MI reps, because we're very much in that field.
Right.
And we have to find ways to differentiate not only ourselves but our companies on a daily basis, especially when we make 120 calls. What makes you different? So that's what I think I've spent most of my career learning how to do.
Wow. Dude, yeah, just the sheer number of calls you described. I mean, I know for some people that would make their head spin. I have heard, though, that, and this is an unrelated field, although it's still in our industry pool, title reps make a ton of calls, too.
They do. That's very similar to what we do. And hazard or homeowners insurance reps, too, are very similar.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, you're right. I get a lot of those coming by.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So you've been in this field for a long time. You thought it would be fun to jump into sales.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So tell me about your early successes and your early struggles.
Well, when I first started out,
because if you tell me this is going to be an all gravy story and you have been blessed this whole time, I'm just going to throw my mic at you.
Well,
I'm not looking to make people cry on the podcast, but
we won't go there.
I'm not going to Diane Sawyer you or anything, but you know.
I started in Orlando not knowing anybody. I'd taken over for a rep that had left the MI industry, and when I did start in Orlando as an MI rep, it was right after a refi bust at that time.
Gotcha.
During that area, there was the ups and downs were a lot more rapid than they've been recently. You could go a year or two where it's just booming, and then the floor would fall out from under you. So it was a lot of having to clean up and having to learn the territory, which I think I did, and I'd worked there for 3 years, and I did a pretty good job starting out on the bottom and not knowing anybody. Built a pretty good base for myself there. But I got the call to kind of jump to the other side of the fence. Once you learn MI, after a while, I wanted to know more about mortgages. That just seemed like to be the next evolution for me at that point in my career. It's like, well, what's it like to do loans or to be more closely involved with helping the consumer?
Right.
And then I jumped to do wholesale from there.
Oh.
So
Good old wholesale.
Yes, wholesale mortgage lending.
How long were you in wholesale?
At that point, for 3 years.
3 years?
Wholesale, yeah.
And in Florida?
In Florida, in Orlando,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, man, I did wholesale for 2.5 years, and it was cutthroat.
Yeah.
It was aggressive. It
Yeah.
was fast, and it was, quite honestly, some of the most fun outside of what I currently do. It was probably one of the funnest jobs I ever had.
Yeah, I agree. Out of my 27 years, 10 years have been MI, and then the other 13 were doing wholesale correspondent work. And then I originated for about 2 years.
Yeah.
During that, so I'm not sure if that exactly adds up, but that's the overall.
Yeah,
breakdown.
you're close enough. We'll round it out,
Rounding.
baby. Don't worry. It's not a math test. Look, hold on.
Right.
Let's draw this out real quick.
Here's the pie chart.
Here's the pie chart. Yeah, give me an org. I need an org. I don't know what it is, but it sounds right.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's all in Florida, man. How did you get to Austin?
Well, after the mortgage crash, and I was doing correspondent at the time.
Mortgage crash.
I was doing wholesale and correspondent at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 sons, and the younger one graduated at that point, and he went off to school. My wife had worked for one of the major credit bureaus for about 15 years at that point, and was managing an office, and that they shut down that division pretty much, to tell it simply, and she had tried to find some other work and didn't have the college degree to back that up, and we decided that it's like, well, let's have you go back to school to get that degree. So she had started doing that, and then after about 2 years, she had the opportunity to go to UCF, or we had made friends here, or one of my best friends lives here in Austin, and we had visited him every year around spring break.
Right.
And just fell in love with Austin. And once my son went off to college, it's like, well, there's nothing really necessarily holding us down in Orlando. Let's go. Why not transfer to UT? So she became a Longhorn.
Ooh, nice. Good for her.
Packed up and moved to Austin.
Nice, man. Tell you what, Florida. I've been told I'm going there later this year. I've been advised that I am taking my family to Universal, right, for the first time or whatever. Like, it wasn't a discussion. Like, I was told. And so that's cool, right? Like, hey, no problem. But I had been there, and it's probably 2 years ago now. Previous company I was working for hosted we were sponsoring in like a golf tournament, mortgage broker thing, right? And so I'd never been to Florida before, ever. And then so I fly into Orlando, I get off the plane, I walk outside, and I immediately get nailed by this wall of humidity. That place is the most humid place I've ever been to in my life.
You have to learn how to breathe water.
Basically, you've got to become like Aquaman or something. Beautiful, don't get me wrong. I mean, I loved the time I spent there, but the next day we were camped out at the hole, kind of like we do at this golf tournament, right?
Yeah.
So we're camped out at the hole. We got the, ice cold beverages.
What time of year was it?
At least spring, maybe early summer.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's going to be, it's 89, 90 degrees at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's 80 or 90% humidity.
Yes.
And I sat out at that hole all day, and it's like, well, we got you a tent. Dude, the tent did nothing for me. Consumed more beverages than I care to discuss, but it was like I was sweating it out immediately.
Yes.
And that is my memory of Orlando. The most hot and humid place I've ever visited, and now I'm going back. Beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yes.
Some of the nicest people I've ever met.
Yes.
And they have this really cool downtown thing going, but man, they got to do something about that humidity, bro.
There's about 2 months where the humidity drops off enough to where Texans would be comfortable.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe December and January it might drop off a little bit, but yeah.
So then I need to go to Universal in December, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
January would be good too.
January too. All right. Duly noted. So you move to Austin.
Yes.
Wife becomes a Longhorn.
Yes.
Good for her.
Yeah.
What?
Go Horns.
Go Horns.
Yeah.
What? How did you get going with? Am I here, or did you start?
I originated. So when I first
originated.
moved here, I came here and I worked at Wells Fargo. I was doing private mortgage banking.
Okay.
with them. So I did that for a little over a year and a half, and that was my first time originating. So I came into the market only knowing my friend and really didn't know anyone else really besides one of the realtors I worked with when we got into our house. So that was all I knew. So,
wow.
But in my first year I did 15 million there.
At Wells Fargo?
At Wells Fargo. Mm-hmm. And
good job.
I did 18 million the next year. But then my boss, who knew me when I was in Florida with Radian, my current boss, she called me up one day out of the blue and was like, just started talking, and I pretty much know her well because I've known her back when I started at CMAC those many years ago, and kind of had an idea that she was probably looking to hire someone out here.
She was
based on the conversation, yeah, and wanted to know what it was like to be an MI rep these days because it had changed quite a bit. Like I said, this is my third time at Radian, and just had a great conversation and just said, hey, let's try and do MI again. Let's see what it's like these days. So I believe I brought a lot to the table now, especially being an MI because I've originated. More than half of my career has been on your side of the fence as a lender, and I really felt that I could do well, especially considering I still didn't know that many people really in Austin in the mortgage community as a whole, like I do now at this point.
Well, I know, when it comes to MI, I really only hear two names on the street. And that's yours and somebody else who will remain nameless for the benefit of this podcast. But, it's like it's the same two names over and over again. You know what I mean? So you guys are definitely, one is like a legacy.
Yeah, I understand.
Yours is the one that I know, like, you're out there hustling and pounding the pavement. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you. That's really what it comes down to. What I try and do, bring value.
Yeah.
And one of the things
you do pancake breakfast for your.
Oh, it's waffles, man.
Waffles. See, waffles, it's even better. I ain't never seen no waffle breakfast. But
hey, we need to do that here. We need to get this set up a movement.
That's what.
We need to bring all your guys together in one spot.
We can do that.
I try and do it for like 20 to 30 people, and when you get them all in one sitting, then it's
done.
Bring up my own waffle truck, which is like my 5-foot-long cooler.
Look at that.
Basically, with everything in there.
You got to brand it, bro.
I do need to brand it. That's a good idea. I need to put Radian on there.
Waffletopia or something. Something like that.
Yeah.
So,
but one thing I try and do is I try and bring. Like a lot of people talk about value added, and a lot of times, at least to me, when I was on your side of the fence, people talk about value added, and a lot of time value added was just the features that were already there. It's like, hey, we got turn time, we got we got a website. But I try and bring value you can point at, is what I say. Like, Tom helped me on this loan, and I made money, and without him, I wouldn't have made money on that loan. And now I've been able to use that knowledge that he gave me to do more loans.
See, that's awesome.
That's what I try and do. It's like you can point at it. If you can't point at it, then it didn't exist, in my opinion.
That's awesome. So, educate us on that, man. Tell me, make mortgage insurance sexy for the podcast.
Make MI sexy.
Do I need to? Want me to play some Barry White in the background while you monologue it?
Let's get real low here. Let's talk about MI. Yeah.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get you some insurance.
Mortgage insurance, for those, if you have people listening that don't know what MI is, it's really if you're putting less than 20% down on your house, your lender is required to get private mortgage insurance. Or it can be government mortgage insurance, which is FHA type loans, or VA loans have another way of doing it as well.
Right.
But if they're going to do conventional, then MI helps bridge that gap.
Okay.
Because typically loans that when borrowers don't put 20% down don't perform as well historically.
Right.
So mortgage insurance helps alleviate some of that risk for the lenders. It makes it more of an attractive investment vehicle for them if it has private mortgage insurance on that loan. That's
so
kind of it in a nutshell there.
Yeah, that's like a 30,000 foot view.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
So let's bring it down to 10,000 feet. How many different types? I mean, how many programs, or how does a person choose? In other words, is it just on the lender to do that?
It is up to the lender to decide. Usually borrowers don't get involved in a mortgage insurance decision.
Sure.
Like I said before, the pricing is very standardized pretty much across the industry. And a lot of times it comes down to the decision that the lenders make, because it's based off of not only a relationship, but the service levels that they're accustomed to delivering for their borrower. They know how the mortgage insurance company fits into that flow. Okay. So we have fantastic turn times. We're doing vast majority of our loans right now are being done in less than 2 hours. So
wow.
Yeah. So a lot of our clients like that. They like that because they know how it fits into their flow from when they decide to order mortgage insurance in their process. So I know Movements has your 6, 7, and 1
yes, sir.
system. So, and I know that we fit in really well into that.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
But that's something that we work for and try and earn on the other side. The people that help back me up in the streets are working to make that delivery possible.
Yeah.
So that's the other way that Radian as a whole tries to earn that business, is trying to deliver the service that you as lenders expect to do. Me on the front end, I look at my role as to educate you about all those some of the different products and different ways that mortgage insurance can be obtained, and also kind of the other things that are being done in the industry.
Right.
That you may not know about, that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac products they offer to you as lenders, that mortgage insurance can be incorporated into, that a lot of people don't know about.
Well, and I know, like, I've had my managers reach out and tell me about some product that they didn't even know existed, but and specifically I say you, because it was like, but dude, Tom was at the office and he told me about this way I could do it, and yeah, dude, I'm gonna be able to get it done, and da 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 da. So, going back to like what you described about wanting to be able to provide results you can point at, like I have seen firsthand, not just because you're sitting in the chair, but through my people, right? Because I don't write loans anymore. Like I know loans, I know how to navigate loans, but yeah, I'm not writing the 1003. So I leave it to, my Randys and my Jessies and my Tonys to let me know who's really stepping above and beyond, and yours has been a name I've heard over and over. So thank you for everything you've done to help us on that part.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's what I try and do. Like we were talking about things like Home Possible and Home Ready, things like that. Yeah.
Exactly those things, actually, I believe. So people who, like, do you do seminars, like, for lenders? Like, how do you...
I do.
How do you educate? Is it literally just going one by one by one, or do you ever just pull 30 of us in a room and say, hey, guys, okay, here's some waffles, and this is MI? Is that something is that a thing?
Yeah, it really depends on, out of that 120 visits throughout the month, sometimes it's set up to where I'm meeting with the whole office of people, and I'm educating them on a specific aspect about mortgage insurance. There's many different ways they can pay mortgage insurance. They can pay it monthly, they can pay in single, they can do a split edge, which is kind of dividing up a payment between a lump sum payment and a smaller payment. You can do lender paid mortgage insurance, where you're adding it into the rate to pay for it, so it's actually not showing up on your monthly escrow statement that you get from your lender. It's not actually in there. But I'll sit down and I can break those down individually. Sometimes I'll try and talk to a loan officer one-on-one, and sometimes I will pull them in all together and we'll do waffles and sit and chat and talk about all aspects of MI.
Waffles and mortgage insurance.
Well, there's bacon too. We can't forget the bacon.
What?
Yeah, I know.
There's bacon?
There's bacon, man.
Dude.
I have bacon connections from here to San Antonio and Waco.
It's called HEB.
No, I don't make it. I got places that I'll call that I need bacon. I need 120 pieces of bacon stat, and I can pick it up.
You're already done?
Oh yeah, they cook it for me. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I gotta get those names.
It's part of the secret. Yeah, we'll have to talk.
We're gonna stop recording now so I can get the bacon connection. Because those of you who've seen me know I can eat some bacon. Yeah. Anyway. Dude, that's awesome though, man. So, anything coming up on the horizon? What you got coming up? What's new and exciting in your world, or in the world of mine?
This year it's going to be just a continuation of selling and teaching, really educating the people about some of the products that Fannie and Freddie are doing. Really Home Possible and Home Ready. That's what I mentioned earlier. Just continuing to educate people on that, because there's still a lot of the industry that doesn't know about them, and what great options they can give your borrower, especially in regards to mortgage insurance, because two of the big features for those products are that the borrowers can get reduced mortgage insurance coverage for them, they're eligible for that, which allows them to have less expensive mortgage insurance on their loans. So, which is great, and that's really what I try and teach people about, because like I said, still probably more than half the industry doesn't know about it. I know your guys know about it and are selling it, and it helps provide their borrowers with the best deal on the street. And that's really another one of my goals is to, because I've sat at the closing table and I know how it feels when you're sitting across from them, and when you're happy, it's great. And that's that goal of what I'm trying to get them to feel, that not only are they happy, but that I gave them the best deal possible. But if they don't know about things like Home Ready and Home Possible, then you're going to find out that you didn't give that best deal possible. Yeah. And then when you look back on it, to me, that would eat at me when I was originating. If I found out, man, I could have gave them a better deal.
Right. I
want to make sure that everyone's giving the best deal and not have to feel that feeling, and then be able to have their clients brag about them because they did give them the best deal. They got cheaper MI. They can go brag about that to everybody else, and they got a lower rate because of Home Possible or Home Ready.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. So
that's the vision.
That's the vision. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So are you still on the board with AMBA?
Austin Mortgage Bankers? Yeah. Yeah, we have the executive board kind of has a ladder. So I'm vice president this year.
Oh, so that means next year you're the
2019 I'll be serving as president. I'll get my opportunity to do that. So, yeah.
Dude, you can hook a brother up.
We're gonna hook you up. Get ready.
Some discounts we have things on that membership. I'm kidding.
Well, things we need you to do. Things we need you in movement to do.
Yeah. Come on. Hey, I've been sponsoring.
You have. Oh, yeah, you're on the board. Yeah.
Well, I'm not on the board anymore.
No, you were though.
I did one year, and coincidentally, it happened to be the first year I came on with Movement, and it was the most chaotic travel year of my life.
Yeah.
And so, I felt so bad that whole year, because it would be like, oh, we got a board meeting coming up. And I would be in like Phoenix. I'm like, dude, this is like the third one I've missed in a row. Oh my goodness.
Well, we'll be talking soon. We got plans for 2019.
Uh-oh. Awesome, man. Well, dude, man, I thank you for taking the time out of your day to come out here and sit down and sit in the chair with me, man.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Hey, how do people find you online?
The best way to find out about me is probably on Facebook.
If they want to connect with you and maybe learn more about you and your products.
And Radian. To go to radian.biz. www.radian.biz.
Okay.
If you want to earn your business. .biz.
Look at that. You even abbreviating it. You're going straight on me now. It's the biz.
It's the biz. Yeah, .biz. And we have a lot of fantastic information where borrowers can learn about mortgage insurance, and mortgage lenders can learn a lot about mortgage insurance. We have a lot of training opportunities, which are great for all levels of everyone in the industry on that website. You can also find about our rates there. But another great place to go is achievethedream.com.
Achievethedream.com?
Yep. Is a website that you could refer clients to consumers to directly to learn about mortgages and questions. So if ever they want like a nonpartisan view of rent-to-buy calculators and how much do they have to save to purchase this home, and like a down payment calculator, all those questions can be answered for them there. And and it explains mortgage insurance too.
I know what I meant to ask you. You're a runner, aren't you?
I am. Okay. That's a recent thing too. I just started that really 2 years ago. Because I was not a runner. Yeah.
Because I've seen like pictures where you're doing like. Did you do a full marathon already?
I did. I actually did 5 marathons this last year.
Okay, wait. You've only been running 2 years, and you've already done 5 marathons?
Yeah, it's kind of a sickness that I've gotten. I started with a 5K, and that seemed fun. So I did a 10K, and that seemed fun, and someone said you should do a half marathon.
How did you start?
It actually started because of weight training. I had a trainer for a year.
Okay.
And part of the training was doing some running, some cardio at the end. And then I have some friends that are runners and triathletes and stuff. And Austin's an overall rather healthy town. You got a lot of people doing a lot of exercising and stuff like that.
Right.
So it was easy to get sucked into that race atmosphere. But one thing just kind of led to the other, and then once I did a half, I got an opportunity through the Mortgage Bankers Association to help be a fundraiser for the Open Doors Foundation for them to run in the New York City Marathon in 2016.
Wow.
I got to fundraise for them, which allowed me that opportunity to run in New York City Marathon, which was my first marathon. And then from that,
You just went big, huh?
I just went big. If I'm gonna do one, I might as well do New York.
Drop the mic, walk out. You're good.
I could have stopped there, but I didn't, because the very next race I ran was an ultra marathon, was a 50K in Bandera, Texas, and then I did Chicago and another 30-miler, which is another ultra marathon throughout the year. So
Wow.
Again, I got to do New York City again, just in November of this year.
Have you done Boston?
Have not, no.
Is that like on the bucket list, or?
I would like to. You'd have to be really fast. I wouldn't say I'm fast, but I'm a finisher. So you get out there, I'm going to finish the thing. But other things on the horizon for me, at least in regards to running, is I'm going to do a 50-miler this year, and then a 100K, which is 62 miles, in January next year, and then a 100-miler before 2019 is done. So then I think I'll stop.
Wow.
with the ramping it up, at least for running purposes.
Yeah, I walked on a treadmill a couple weeks ago. Pretty proud of it. Made it like quarter mile. It was a whole lap, baby.
If you would have asked me more than 2 years ago if I'd be doing this, I would have laughed. And I laughed at people that did marathons. I just never would have.
Well, and the reason I asked is this. I mean, I went through a period, obviously years ago, where I had dabbled into it. And I was walking,
Yeah.
walk a little bit, then jog, walk and then jog, walk and then jog.
Yeah.
And it built up, obviously because I did it with frequency. It got to where I was jogging 4 miles a day, 4 or 5 days a week. Lost a ton of weight, found it all again. But at one point, but what I remember from it is this: it hurt, it was hard, it was painful. But then I would reach these points where it would just be like a second wind, and then there was this feeling of semi-euphoria. Somebody told me, "Oh yeah, you had runner's high," and I'm like, "Runner's high?"
Yeah.
Because that was, it felt great, but it was past the point to where I was like, I felt like I was gonna die, and then it was like something kicked in. I don't know. Maybe it was just adrenaline. I don't know, but
no, it exists.
Especially
on some of these longer runs that I've done, you go through that multiple times. You'll find the high, and then you lose it, and then keep going, and you'll find it again. You just got to keep plugging along, just keep moving. And and I've done some of the run along some of these on the ultra marathons too. But eventually you catch your wind back, and then you just get right back into it. Yeah.
Well, for me, because I was a big guy then, when I first started doing it, and it was just like, okay, there were street lamps right along this running path, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna jog 3 lamps, and then I'll walk 2, and I'll jog 3 and walk 2. So at least I was jogging more than I was walking. At least that was my justification. But anyway,
that works.
Anyway, man. Well, I just wanted to point that out to everybody because I saw that. I remember seeing that when we became friends on social, and it's impressive, man. You're doing a lot.
Oh, thank you.
So, hey, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for this episode, but thank you again, Tom, for coming out.
Thanks, Bobby, so much for having me.
Yeah, and remember those websites he said. Say them again, Tom?
Radian.biz and achievethedream.com.
Achievethedream.com and Radian.biz. Also, I encourage you to look for this man, Tom Miller, on Facebook, and check him out and show him some love, all right? Everybody, that's it. Take care. Thank you for listening, and, stay social.